So let's get started. The bread that I'm making, I call it artisan bread. I'm not really sure if that's exactly what it is, but it has 4 ingredients, and that is flour, yeast, salt, and water, and that's it. You'll need a Dutch oven and parchment paper for this bread. Also maybe some plastic wrap, or you could probably put a towel over this bowl when we let it set. But first of all, we'll start with the dry ingredients, which is just going to be flour here. Okay, it takes 3 cups of flour. I love these containers. My daughter worked at a fast food restaurant, and they got cherries in these plastic jars. She said they just throw them away. I said, oh, will you please start saving those for me? She said yes, so she does. And, excuse me, she did. And I have a ton of them. I mean, I keep flour in them, sugar, beans, you know, just what have you. Okay, so we've got the 3 cups of flour, and this is just all-purpose flour. And let's go get some yeast in here. It takes a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. 1/4 teaspoon. I can do a little heaping. This flour is gluten-free. It's just all natural. It's really good flour. My son's mother-in-law owns a bakery, and she orders just the best of the best. And he ordered me a 50-pound bag of flour, which I also need to go ahead and get that in some Mylar bags, and that'll be another video. But anyway, so let's see. The salt will be 1 teaspoon salt. Get that. I prefer to use pink salt, but we're using regular table salt right now. Okay, 1 teaspoon of salt. Start with that. I'm just going to whisk those together. Mama bought me that Dutch oven. I think she got it at a garage sale or something, and it was kind of like the color of my mixer. It was gray when I first got it, and I've used this thing so many times that it's you know, well seasoned now. It's just absolutely beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some hot water. It calls for 1.5 cups of hot water. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so my water gets so hot, I mean, it gets really hot here. Probably shouldn't use it as hot as my water gets, but so 1.5 cups of hot water. We're just going to add it right into there. And we're going to stir it. And you want this dough to be sticky. It does have to sit for 3 hours on your counter, but you know what? I do this and just go do 10 other million things that need to be done around here, so it's no sweat. It's super easy to make, and it is delicious. I won first place. I entered it at the Tulsa State Fair here in Oklahoma, and I won first place with this bread. First place ribbon. Pretty cool. All right. I'm going to scrape that off in there. I have no idea where I got this orange thingy, but it is just fantastic. I'll use it to scrape it up and turn it before we bake it. Okay, so see how simple that is? Now we're going to cover it with cling wrap, whatever plastic wrap you have. I suppose if you don't have plastic wrap, you could probably just use a towel or something. But this is it. The son wanted spaghetti for dinner tonight, and I thought, well, sure, we'll have some of that delicious bread. with some butter and garlic on it. It'd be fantastic. Maybe even some pesto on there. That sounds good. I'm a little behind the times. I think I need that press and seal cling wrap. Okay, so this is gonna have to work for now. So I've got 3 cups of flour, all-purpose flour, a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt. You mix that with the whisk, and then you add your water, your wet ingredient, which is 1½ cup of water. Excuse me, warm water. Stir it up, cover it, and then we're going to let it rest on the counter for 3 hours. And I'll be back. I probably have about 10 minutes left on the bread sitting in the bowl. I'm going to go ahead and line my beautiful Dutch oven with this parchment paper. Okay, I'm going to plop that bread right inside there and then put the lid on when it's ready to go. I have my oven preheated at 450 right now. I'm going to put a little bit of flour down here. Actually, probably a lot of flour. This dough is pretty sticky and it will need a little bit of flour added to it. Okay, so I'm going to put like about that much. Get my orange tool here. So I'm probably going to have to scrape it out. Now I'm just going to dump it here on my counter. And I mean it's sticky, okay? If you can see. Super sticky. You can add stuff to this if you want. Totally up to you. Put some chia seeds in there, some spices, whatever. Okay, I'm going to dump some flour on top. Lots of flour on here. I might be needing to get some new yeast. It almost looks as if it didn't rise as much as it should have, but it'll turn out fine. Okay. Now I usually use this, I just kind of flip it a couple of times. That. It's really bouncy. Yum. Alright, I think we'll just stick with that right there. I'm going to flour up my hands and the top of that. Okay. See if you can see my Dutch oven. I'm just going to set it inside here with the parchment paper in there. Just going to set that right on in. Pick that up. You see that? Then we're just going to put the lid on. I'll fold those down a little bit. Slap it on top. When that reaches 450, we're going to put it in the oven. Okay, the bread's been sitting in this Dutch oven for probably about 15 minutes or so. Honestly, you should probably let it sit for about 30, but my oven's reached 450. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the oven right now, and I'm going to get started on my pasta. So anyway, we'll come back with the results of this bread. Dun, 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 dun. Ta-da! Look at that beautiful loaf of bread. Okay, maybe not a loaf, but anyway, look at that bread. Woo! It smells. I wish you could smell it. It just looks fantastic, and we're gonna have that with supper tonight, or we can even have it tonight with a little bit of butter and honey for dessert. This looks so good. I cooked this bread at 450 for 35 minutes, and then I pulled the lid off and cooked it for another 10 minutes just because I wanted that crust on top. And here we go. I'm going to cut a piece off here. I'm just going to cut an end piece, I think. Oh my gosh, it's still so hot right out of the oven. So, boy, that's hot. Anyway, oh, you see the inside of that? It's just smoking. I love the end pieces. I got some butter here. Let me get my butter knife. Actually, cheese knife, whatever, but you all, oh my gosh, this just looks fantastic. I have been cooking with flour all day long. I have flour everywhere, but it is so worth it. Look at this bread. Like I said, first place ribbon here at the Tulsa State Fair. You cannot beat this. It's easy enough. Thanks for watching, guys.